This is my Celtic lathe. It's marked here. And I like it very much. However, there are also a few little details I don't like on this machine. For example, the handle for the switch feels a little bit worn and it is very difficult to turn the machine off at exactly the right moment. For example, while cutting threads. But I think I will have to learn to live with it. Another little problem I found is here on the cross slide. In here there are two T-slots and one on the side, so you can mount whatever kind of extra tooling on it. But every time I use my lathe, these things turn into a rat nest. And it's not always easy to clean it out. Plus, when you have these longer chips, they get stuck in here and it makes it a lot more complicated to use my height gauge to set the tool height. An easy solution could be, of course, to 3D print some kind of plastic T-shape things, strips that I can slide in here and problem fixed. But I don't have a 3D printer, so that's not gonna work. Let's find another solution. I think I've got it. Let's make these things in steel. I have a 20mm square little bar here that could be ideal for the job. Of course, the dimensions are already here. As you can see, 20, so this bar will be perfect. And I will make the things in two parts. Part one will be making a plug that goes in here, something more or less like this, but not this one because here's a part missing. So fit one in here, and then the T-shaped part will be 210mm long. And to make the two 25mm plugs, I will use a piece of railroad that I welded together to do a test weld, and then I beat the crap out of it on my anvil that it was bent, and then I beat the other side to straighten it again, and as you can see it still holds. So this still good stuff. There is already a center in this part here, but because it's wobbly, I'm gonna make it disappear. As you can see, the top slide is still at 30 degrees, but because I'm gonna work close to the chuck, it could well be that this corner is gonna touch the jaws here. So let's put it back at almost 0. Let's say, for example, more or less 5. Good. Let's give this thing a little test fit. Good enough. Two. Right. Back in the lathe to bring them to length, of course. While my future plug is still here in the lathe, what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drill and tap a hole in the center. Because if this one isn't finished yet, but if this one is in place and there are chips between this part and the little plug, it could well be that it's gonna be really hard to get it out again. But a little blow of compressed air and then put a bolt in it and then I can easily pull it out. Before I install my two little plugs here, it's maybe a good idea to clean up this mess a little bit. I think these two will work just fine. No stick out, there's a little bit of play, exactly what I wanted. Right, let's start working on these two. That of course has to fit in the T-slots. And the ideal machine to do this is of course the shaper. Because long and small parts like these, I can do this here in the shaper with just a few strokes and I will finish the whole surface. It's just that the vise I have here is a bit too small. If I put it in, there's too much stick out both sides. So I will install the part directly on the table. I wanted to install both parts at the same time, but it's not wide enough, so that's not gonna work. But whatever, I will do it one by one. And first I will clean up one face and then flip the thing around and work it to thickness. Let's do the other side. No panic, the wiggle waggle was just a little ship that was between here. Now, before I fix my part in place, first I would like to install here some kind of stop. It's gonna prevent the part to be pushed out, so I can take a little bit bigger cuts. Normally, you try to do as much as possible operations in one and the same setup. And here I had a tiny little problem now, nothing special. Let me explain. The shoulder I need to cut here will leave a thickness of 8mm rim on this side and on this side. And the height I have here between this hold down bolts and the bottom is at least 12mm. So that's not gonna work. If I put my part in here, I'm gonna cut in the bolts before I finish the right thickness. And that's why I finished the both parts, and now this one can go. And I have to figure out another setup so I can cut this shoulder without cutting in my hold down system. I will figure something out. Okay, I think I've got it. I installed two low profile clamps to push my part against as a stop, and of course I also used the other stop I already used. And then my two typical clamps, and let's see if it works. To prevent my clapper box here from touching these clamps, I also had to install, of course, the extended tool holder. And I installed here a stop. So maximum movement is now 3mm, and I need to go 8mm down. Install by spring. Oh, shit. stopped because I forgot to set the position of the stroke plate. That's stupid. Much better. One side is finished, and now of course the other side. And here they are. And as you can see, I also drilled two little holes in it, so that if these things get stuck in here, I can put a kind of pin or something in here and tap them out. And now something completely different. While I was working on this little project, I found out that my channel passed the 10,000 subscribers. So let's have a party. Well, a party is maybe a little bit complicated, but what we can do is, for example, a Q&A. So next week's video I will answer your questions if there are some. So I think the easiest way to post your question is in the comment section. Ask me whatever about whatever, and of course freedom to me if I want to respond or not, if it's a little bit too personal, you know. But whatever, ask me your questions, and of course there will also be a 10K giveaway. So if you want to win something, be there next week.